And hello from Bugeye Guys, another video here about the basics of getting to know your Sprite. And here I'm going to show you it's a non-synchro first gear, so I'm going to go into second at a full stop, use the synchronizer in second, and that allows me to engage first without any trouble at all. Now sometimes people ask me where should I shift, so here I'm shifting at 4,000 RPMs. The red line on these is 5,500, so 4,000 you get a nice power and sound. And there's 4,000 into fourth gear. So that is one way to drive these cars. We're going to interrupt this with I needed to get fuel, so I'm going to put the gas cap on top of the fuel pump. Never on your paint, please, because it can only scratch things, so always on the gas pump. And you notice I held the nozzle upright while I put it into the fill tank there. I'm actually going to turn on the ignition so I can watch the fuel gauge swing. This is a customer's car that we've done restoration work on, and so we're checking it before it departs. And I'm checking to make sure that the fuel gauge is functioning properly by filling it up and watching it swing, so I have a sense that the gauge is working. And now I'm going to be careful. I'm listening for the sound of the fuel approaching the top of the neck. You never want to fill these right to the top, because as the sun heats up the fuel, it will overflow and potentially damage the paint right below the nozzle there. So I'm just being extra careful and stopping the minute the fuel looks like it's climbing up the neck. And then you'll notice I'm going to hold the neck at a steep angle to try to pull it out without dripping fuel onto the paint. And this is really important because, again, fuel damages paint, especially old paint. There, you see, I'm just making sure that I remove the nozzle, and if any was in there, it's going to stay in the nozzle. And then I'm going to put the cap back on, don't forget. Anyway, back to the driving. Here I'm going to shift at a much lower RPM. That was maybe 2,200 RPMs, 2,500 RPMs. So you are welcome to shift at that level. There's no requirement. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just don't want to lug the engine, and you don't want to over rev the engine. Here I'm in fourth gear at 2,000 RPMs and only 25 miles an hour or so. Very tractable, easy going. There's third gear, brings it up to 2,000 RPMs. And second gear also would be fine at this speed, but it really depends on your driving style and taste. And there's second gear. I'm going to kind of roll on through that stop sign. I'm at walking speed, so I can start in second gear. That's another important distinction. So you don't want to be jamming it into first gear at a walking speed, because you'll damage first gear itself, the cluster gear, and you can literally break your gearbox. We have all these parts, but treat it nicely and you'll be fine. In our catalog you can find new gearboxes and everything else for your Bugeye, so we're here to help, and hopefully this video will make life with your Bugeye or your Sprite or your old British car that much more pleasant. Thanks for watching.